Sifu Raphael is...
Welcome to Speaking Prowess, the show that supercharges your communication and fuels unstoppable success. Sifu Raphael, visionary founder and world-renowned master instructor, elevates leaders into unforgettable communicators who command the room and inspire action. Alongside him is Scott Schilling, the authentic connector, a business growth expert with 40 years of experience, empowering audiences to rise higher, succeed faster, and thrive with purpose. Together, they bring you the strategies, insights, and inspiration to amplify your voice, expand your influence, and unlock your true potential. This is Speaking Prowess. Your journey to communication mastery starts now.
Welcome to Speaking Prowess. I'm your host, Scott Schilling. Sifu is away today, but we're going to make up for that because we got the one, the only Coach T.O. Clay. T.O., thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Brother Scott. It's always a pleasure. I'm just sitting here thinking like, wow, bro, 40 years of experience doing what you do. So it's a pleasure for me to be here with you this afternoon.
Thank you. That just means I'm more mature. That's code word for older. It means I've been doing it for a while. So I really look forward to you and I bantering about, we're going to talk about why talent isn't enough in leadership.
Yes.
You know, we're going through, I actually just finished recording a podcast with a few folks, and we were talking about the world as it stands today. And there's so much going on, however you want to classify all that. And so I think this will be a great discussion today. Again, why talent isn't enough in leadership. Throw out an opening volley here and let's get her started. What's your take on that?
Scott, we've shared some good time together, Scott, in different ways. And as you know, you've heard me say it, I love basketball, Scott. You know, I played as a young whippersnapper back in the days, and just learning as a young kid the fundamental aspect of it, the teamwork aspect of it, the discipline aspect of it, the talent aspect of it. One thing I do know, talent alone does not win championships, Scott. And I would call, you know, that in terms of, or I would say in any sport, rather. I mean, it's to have talent coupled with those other things, like I talked about with the discipline and the teamwork aspect of it. You could have a phenomenal dynasty like the Boston Celtics have had, the Lakers have had, the Yankees, the Dodgers, as we both know all too well. But talent, you know, wow, man, it's such a topic that is so relevant to what's happening right now, regardless of opinion, Scott. Like we're leaders. We're talking about leadership. Why talent isn't enough in leadership? Leadership specifically, Scott. You just like I just said, 40 years. I'm proud of my 23, 24 years as a Marine, and that felt like an eternity. But 40 years you've been doing it, Scott. So I'm sure you've seen a lot of talent over the years. So I want to hear from your perspective, Scott, just the talent you've seen in business alone over the years. What are some of the things that you've seen where you know this statement that we're talking about today is bona fide truth?
Well, I think, and thanks, T.O. And by the way, thank you for your service. Obviously, we appreciate you and your efforts and commitment that, on the military side. You know, it's interesting. One of the concepts I share a lot on is if you got want to, you can learn the rest. And want to is really that desire piece, right? If you have the desire to make things happen if you have the desire. Uh, Talent, I think, for the most part, is a God-given ability, capability. Uh, it's the it's the it's what we've been blessed with, and it's the foundational piece. But it's not just, again, there's some, as you so eloquently said, I mean, there's some very talented individuals in team sports that don't allow the team to win, even though the talent of the individual is so exceptional. I think it's very much the same in business. You can have somebody who has innate ability, talent, and yet they haven't nurtured the other skills that you were talking about, the skill of desire, the skill of discipline, and those can be learned attributes. And I think that becomes the biggest thing. Again, I don't know. We live in a very interesting time. And again, I guess I'm pretty sure my parents said it back in the day at one time too, right? You just wait what you learn, as you get older. But the point is, we've got four very specific and very different generations in play right now. I'm sure there was always difference across the generations, right? I just don't know that there's ever been so much difference across the generations.
Right.
And so again, the talent of a Gen Z is significantly different than the talent of a boomer.
Yes.
And part of that is environment, culturalization, how you grew up, what you were surrounded by, all those kinds of things. And so that's why I think it's maybe at one time talent could carry more of the load, but things move so quickly today. Innovation happens so quickly.
Yes.
I recall my dad. He worked for the same company for 46 years, from the time he was 17 until he was 63 when he retired. And that's when 63 was the targeted retirement age.
Yeah.
I think it's 104. But the point is that he was, his last position in his 46th year, his title was electronic data liaison, which sounds very cool, except what it really was is the guy who was responsible for the computer room. and that was because they now had a computer, like 1975-ish. And a computer was a room. A computer was a room. And so it was such a different thing, right? And technology has moved so quickly, innovation has moved so quickly, that obviously having talent in the leadership role is important. Yes. But I think it's really the peripherals that make it so different today. It's funny. I'm looking at my own background, the city of Dallas, in the background, and as I was saying that, what came to me is people think Dallas is a big city. Okay, well, Dallas is about 1.9 million.
Okay,
city. Fort Worth, the sister city in the area, Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, is 1.2 million. Between the two, there's 3 million people. Except the Metroplex is 6 million people. That means there are another 3 million people in all the suburbs and connecting cities and everything around the area.
Yes.
That's kind of the way I think talent is today. Right? Talent is the big city. But all the other parts and the things that you need to learn, the things that become the adder to talent, are the suburbs, right? They're all those,
Yes.
they're little pieces. So I'm not sure that I threw you, if I threw you with my analogy here, but that's exactly what just came to me as I was looking at that. And that's why talent is a big piece. There's no doubt about that. And we should work to refine that. But I think it's the other things. So that's my take. How's that land with you?
Well, first off, Scott, it lands amazingly well because my best friend, Robert Lytle, he lives in Frisco. And when we flew into Dallas, my wife and I, we went on if you're looking at the map of Dallas, we were on the east side in one of the little cities right outside of Dallas proper on the east side. I can't remember the name of it, but my wife's one of her best friends, Mashana, she's also a retired Marine. Her and her husband bought a plot out there, built a nice house, and we're out in that area. And then when we left there and drove kind of around the belt of Dallas, then cut up north to go up to Frisco, I was like, man, this is a lot like Atlanta. Like so many people live on the outskirts, like you said, the metropolis, the suburbs. But everybody I've met throughout my military time from this particular area, they all say I'm from Atlanta until you get here, and then you realize they're from Marietta, they're from Fayetteville, McDonough, and Gwinnett County out here where I am. So yes, Scott, it lands 100% in the talent aspect of it. I see the city as well as, the city's the talent, but the city will have some issues if it wasn't for those conglomerate areas outside of that. So Washington, D.C. the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's from Fairfax to Arlington, all those areas. And a lot of the talent is coming from those more rural areas, coming into the city, doing what they do, getting back on the, commuter rails or whatever it is and going back out. So it's a great analogy, Scott. It really is. It's a great analogy.
Thanks. I mean, I think we all have our giftings.
Yes.
And I think those giftings would be our talents, right? And then the question really becomes, do we have that desire to expand upon that or use that foundation to do whatever? I know that I've shared before that I've written checks to 19 mentors across my career.
Wow.
Every time I wanted to learn a specific area to gain some expertise, I was seeking out the best at that particular area. When I made the decision I wanted to speak professionally full time, I found John Childers, the multi-million-dollar speaker trainer, the most expensive program on the planet, but well worth it. John is now retired and enjoying the spoils of all that, which is great because what I learned from him was so phenomenal. And so I might have had the initial ability to stand in front of a group, but then the wisdom, the expertise, the experience, the knowledge that he added to that allowed that to expand. And it's the expansion, I think, that is where the leadership really comes, right? Now, again, I'm fascinated by your military career, by the way. I mean, I really, because I know you are the leader of so many.
Yes.
And you did it for an extended period of time. You didn't go in as the top guy.
Oh no, not at all.
Well, they should have recognized you and done that, by the way. That's my opinion. But what's it like starting where you started and then growing through the ranks, and what leadership was added as you went along?
Great question, Scott. Talent acquisition, man. Um, it's something that the Marine Corps is still dealing with right now. And it goes back again, Scott, like you said, the environment in which we're living in currently, the current state, the Marine Corps is constantly trying to adapt and looking at the talent from the most junior ranks all the way to the senior ranks. And like you said, the peripherals of that, the extensions that come along with that, the 360 degrees peer eval, Scott. It will tell you what your talent is and how your talent's being utilized. It is a focal lens, and you can't escape it. So I believe that model's really good. In starting from day one, from the day, Scott, I got to Parris Island, South Carolina, got on the footprints, the famous yellow footprints, as we say. I understood in that moment, I'm not in my world anymore. I'm in the United States Marine Corps world. And whatever they tell me to do, I'm going to do it with zeal. I'm going to do it with vigor. I'm going to do it screaming loud, top of my lungs, and fast as I possibly can. Um, and if I do those few intangibles, I'm giving myself a fighting chance. And early on, Scott, like I said, from playing sports, I was used to having a coach. I was used to being pushed beyond what I felt, my limit to be, and being stretched a little bit more, Scott, as we would say. So the drill instructors, oh my goodness, Scott, I mean, it's always knew in the back of my mind, just don't quit. And I think people that consider themselves, for the listeners out there or the viewers, you're not as talented. What Scott Schilling just said, having someone that has walked that path before, or someone that has a vested interest in you to improve, if you don't have that in your life, I challenge you to really look for that today. On this beautiful day of February, as you were March, I'm sorry. Look for that. Because like you said, Scott, I definitely was not in the beginning what I ended, coming out in 2021. And over the years, it was just a lot of development. It was a lot of really looking at, okay, everyone here has a specific talent in something. I'll be honest, Scott, I didn't grow up shooting rifles and, that type of nature. But I saw some guys that I remember a young man named Griffin. Man, that boy could shoot a grain of salt at 10,000, freaking yards. He was amazing. And he talked about how, I've been shooting rifles my whole life, grew up on a farm, and this is what I do. And his talent was maximized as he continued to evolve in the Marine Corps. He ended up on the Marine Corps shooting team, which is a high honor. Like it's a very small sect of individual Marines that ever will say they're a distinguished marksman, and have that title. So, but again, somebody was coaching him. It was all the guys previous to him teaching him and dialing him in even a much better than what he came to the door with. So great question, Scott. I could take it in so many different directions with that, because it just sparks my feelings on talent. I think about, obviously the talent that I saw over the years. Humble enough to say, hey, that guy's more talented than me in this particular outfit, whatever that may be. But I control my work ethic. Like you said, I control whether I go out and party tonight and drink all night, or whether I stay in the barracks and study the craft So I'm ready to rock and roll come Monday morning when it's time to go execute and perform. Those are the type of things that I think when we think of talent not being enough as a leader, we have to say it, Scott. We have to think about the movie Rudy
Yeah, very
at
much
Notre
so.
Dame. I mean that right there, that's one of my favorite movies of all time because from the time he sat down with the priest at the church, and he said, "I want to play football for the University of Notre Dame." And I remember the priest looking at him, sitting there like, "Man, you're 50 pounds soaking wet. Like, great dream, Scott, but no, I don't think." And but his pursuit of wanting to achieve, I don't even think he was thinking about talent in that moment. He wanted to follow his dream, and ended up, for all of us that seen the movie, he ended up being the leader. They held him off the field. Like, so again, talent is not enough. It's what we're saying here. Man, I love you, Scott, man, because your wisdom. You just have so much wisdom, man. And I listen to you speak. Every episode, podcast we've done together, different things I've seen you on different platforms. I listen to you. What I love about you, Scott, you have eloquent pauses. I'm being dead smack serious. You speak and your pauses are eloquent, and that's something that I try to emulate. Like I could literally listen to you speak, Scott, and I'll come back to the fold and say, man, I love the way Scott articulates. I love the way he doesn't rush. He doesn't talk too fast. He doesn't talk too slow. It's just right in the pocket. And that's a talent, yes, but I know it's something that you've worked on. I know it's something that you've honed over time. So what do you think, Scott, when it comes to like, well, talent wise, yes. Leadership wise, yes. But understanding, Scott, when a young person comes to you and says, I want to be a speaker, what's some of those things that you've experienced over the years that you could give them advice with, Scott?
Well, thank you for the kind words, first of all.
Absolutely.
The I think the biggest thing I knew for myself when I wanted to make it a profession that I needed guidance. Even though I had delivered many times in front of rooms and things like that, the industry itself, the opportunities themselves, all those take expertise beyond what I had. And I think actually that's one of the things that this is where I go back to when people have want to, they can learn the rest. Because I think that there's again, I'm thinking of what you're saying with Rudy, and it makes so much sense, right? He became a leader of the feeling. Leaders don't tell people what they to do.
Right.
True leadership comes in getting people to maximize their capabilities
That's a fact.
and implement them in such a way that the greater good is served, right?
Yes.
That the organization, the Marine Corps, the
Yes.
platoon, the brigade, right? Specifically down the line in the various divisions within it. And I think it's the same when somebody comes and says, I want to speak. For me, the first question becomes, why? What do you want to accomplish through that skill set? And speaking is a particular skill set.
Yes.
And if you can understand the skills, the desire behind, and speaking isn't the only thing that this applies to. It really applies to virtually anything. Somebody says, I want to become a CrossFit athlete. My first question is why?
Right.
Every CrossFit athlete, including one of my kids, my daughter, she's awesome. Why do you want to do that? right?
Yeah.
So I think it's much the same, right? It's the talent is the structure. It's that foundation. It's the what was what was the inalienable rights that were granted you, the blessings, the usability that God has granted you.
Yes.
Okay. It's then the desire, like you said it so well early, the desire, the discipline, it's the outside things, right, that you
Yes.
put with it. So when somebody says, I want to speak, my first desire is to understand why they want to do that, and let's match then the capabilities, the process, the everything. Yeah, it's interesting. When I made the move into the industry, there was an organization that wanted me to come speak for them, and they said, come watch the presentation. And it was a fabulous presentation. And the presenter, oh my goodness, I don't know that I had ever seen anybody that good. I'm really serious. And they said, so you ready to join us and do that presentation? And I said, absolutely not. And now the things I just said prior to that were like, well, wait a second, you would have jumped all over it. What I recognized very quickly is I wasn't him, and I wasn't going to be able to present like him, the process, the words, the variety of different things, because I didn't feel I had the ability to own it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the greatest thing with a speaker in this day and age is they've got to own their message.
Yeah.
They've got to own. That's where the why comes from, the meaning behind the meaning, right? The significance. Right. I think when people go for success, they get on the hamster wheel of life. Yes. Oh, I had a success. Well, what are you going to do now? I'm going to go after another one. Yes. You're on a hamster wheel. I think it's the significance. It's the meaning behind the success. Yes. What's the real why for the achievement? Why would you want to do that? So again, when somebody comes to learn to speak, when I coach speakers, one of my clients, as an example, fabulous. His heart is pure. His motives, his desire is amazing, but he had something that God placed on his heart that he couldn't articulate. He couldn't get it out in a way to get people to take action. And isn't that what leadership is? Is not telling them what to do, but in fact, enrolling them in the vision. Mm-hmm. And so we worked actually for months on his keynote presentation, word by word. We got the intent behind it. We got everything set. And as soon as he had that and he owned that, man, it was amazing because the ability to deliver that was so solid. Not only was the messaging congruent, integrous, right? Mm-hmm. Integer, very big thing. Integrity comes from the word integer. One, that's right. Wholeness, right? Once we had that in the talk itself as a speaker, he could then own that. And when he could own that, it takes you past the talent was being able to deliver it. Mm-hmm. But the intangibles beyond the talent were the owning and the messaging and the process. And as you said, there's a thing in speaking called pregnant pauses. It's done for a reason. It's allowing
I love it.
the message to sink in.
Yes.
You don't rush it. So anyway, that's some of the things that I do when people come and I coach them in the speaking aspect. That was one of the things that I've said to all 19 of my mentors, but I especially said it to my speaking mentor, is give me everything you got. And my commitment is I won't keep it. I will share it with my students and my clients and ultimately become an extension of you.
Yes.
I've become an extension of my mentors. So when somebody gets me as a mentor or as a coach, they don't get me. They
Yes.
get me plus 19. So but again, that doesn't happen immediately. That's what happens over time. I think it's one of the things that we're missing in this era because we've got the 4 generations in play: boomers, X, millennials, Zs.
Oh.
And there's so many organizations. In fact, I spoke to a group called Executives in Transition. That's a fancy name for unemployed folk.
That's right.
And there was one of the participants that said, "I'm 50 and I'm washed up."
Mm.
And my response to him was, "You're 50 and you're washed up if that's what you believe you are." I said, "For me, I would suggest that you're 50 and you're a valuable asset because of your knowledge, your
Yes.
expertise, your experience, your
Yes.
wisdom, and you're something that people need more of."
Yes.
So again, talent, I think he was almost looking at what was on the resume as his talent, but in reality, it's all the peripherals.
Yes. It
And I
is,
think
Scott.
that's what's being missed today. I mean, is that
Yeah.
making any sense to you?
Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world, Scott, because it's the truth. I mean, I could sit here and listen to you all day because once we end our segment for the day and I go back and I look in the mirror, I have to ask myself, Scott, am I trying my best to implement these things that Scott Schilling, world renowned, proven, trustworthy in his dealings, name supersedes? Am I doing the things that he talked about? Or at least making the effort and the attempt to? Um, those are so important because again, I'm 49, Scott. I was telling Brother Sifu earlier, I'll be 50 in August, and I'm proud to say that, and I'm proud to uh, know that the why and the purpose, the call, I'm making the concerted effort to execute it every single day in some form or fashion. That's why I love leadership, Scott. I know you love leadership. We're leadership junkies, and everywhere that we could be, wherever today, we're here together. Uh, and on behalf of Brother Seafood, I was telling Seafood, I watched the movie IP Man 4. And I haven't watched 1, 2, and 3. Somehow I just landed on 4. And Scott, when I watched it, brother, it, especially when you were just explaining yeah, they're getting me, but they're also getting all of that wisdom, that expertise, and that knowledge that's been poured into me. And hopefully I'm condensing the time for them to reach a certain level of success in the endeavor in which they're trying to achieve. Same goes for that movie. All of the seafoods, and they have the captions at the bottom of the screen, but obviously they're speaking in Mandarin, I believe. But all of these seafoods, and you could just keep hearing them throughout the movie: seafood, 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 seafood. And I was like, just sitting on the couch, like, man, if we call this man Raphael, we call him seafood. And I don't even think people understand the magnitude of that title in terms of calling seafood seafood. We call him seafood, and we don't always say seafood Raphael, which is his first name, Raphael. So it's like I just think about the few stories that Sifu's told me, Scott, about sitting in New York City in Chinatown somewhere, some dark back little restaurant that only certain people can go in, and he's sitting in there with his seafood, and his seafood is constantly training him.
Yep.
365, wherever they go, he's training. And like I told Sifu, I said, man, it's just like Karate Kid, man, Mr. Miyagi. Like he wax on, wax off. Danielson didn't know why. I mean, these are stories that we all know that's been brought to the screen and really touched us deeply in ways to help sharpen our blade as leaders. Going back to the Rudy, I think talent wise, Larry Bird wasn't the most talented. Scott Schilling, he wasn't. Uh, but he perfected the game and let the game come to him, and nobody could stop him. When I was a young kid, growing up in an African American household, Scott, I heard it all. They better not let that white boy shoot. That white boy. I heard it, Scott. I'm not afraid to, be authentic and real about who I am. I heard those things, and I started to develop a dislike for Larry Bird as a young kid within the environment in which I was in. But once I started playing myself, Scott, this is profound what I'm about to say. Once I started playing the game myself and realized, yeah, I have a little bit of talent. I'm not 6'8" like Larry Bird, obviously, but I have a little bit of talent. But throughout learning the game, the fundamentals, what we've been saying this whole time, Scott, those skill sets. And then I was able to go back and watch Larry Bird. I said, man, he's unstoppable, man. You got Michael Jordan, yeah, you got Lou Alcindor, you got these different players, Urban Magic, that he battled a lot. But man, he's top 5 for me. Best players to ever live to me Larry's in my top 5 because it's like watching, just a beautiful thing on that court to see how he couldn't jump as high as a lot of the other players. He couldn't, do certain things that these players could do, but he found how to double down on what he could do.
Yeah.
And when he got that ball, oh my God. So, and again, when you look at the talent aspect of it, not being enough in terms of leadership, man, there's countless examples in business, in sports. The talent that my 15-year-old has, my 11-year-old doesn't have, and vice versa. But what I try to get them to see, Scott, all the time is like, excuse me. I try to really get them to see, Scott, that you know what? Talent can get you some places. Like my oldest son, he wants to be a lawyer, man. It's locked in. Like I've said it before. You throw a basketball at him, or football, tennis ball, golf ball, whatever ball, it's going to hit his chest, Scott, and roll off, and he's going to stare at it like, what is that? Like, he does not care about that. He cares about, I want to be a lawyer. So it's like speaking to him, and I'm like, hey, man, talent is one thing, but brother, you got to develop, young man. You have to go do these mock trials downtown on the weekends when all your buddies want to go to the mall and hang out. If you want to be that top tier and that next level as a leading lawyer. So I love it, Scott, man. I told Sifu earlier, I said, man, we talk about these topics, and anyone who's with us today, they know everything that we're saying right now, Scott. 40 minutes in, and I know we're going to close it out with a bang, but I could sit here and listen to you for 40 minutes, speak about this exact topic, because one, man, Scott, I know you've lived it. I know you've experienced it. I know you've seen the highs and lows of it, Scott. And I thank you for giving me, just a voice to speak alongside you, brother. And we're diverse in our own way.
Yeah.
But what I love is like we come together and we fuse these things together and we cover the bases. And that's very important in today's time, like you said, with the millennials. And oh my God, Scott, like I see some of these young folk and I look at them like a seed. If I don't water them, they're not going to grow.
Right.
You know, I have to foster an environment around these young folk and even some older, you know, an environment that, hey, how do you grow? How do you leave this life whenever it comes with someone behind you, adjacent to you, that's better because of the efforts that you gave? And that's all I'm saying, Scott. If anything else, Scott, like God makes no mistakes. Our brother Sifu is handling, you know, a follow-up appointment. Normally he would be here speaking in the same breath. But to have the opportunity to share with you, Scott, it means a lot. Because most of the time we're on, it's 3 or 4 or 5 different people, and everybody's, you know, speaking their speak and how they could squeeze it in. But just to hear you today, bro, like this is profound, Scott. It really is.
Well, thank you. Again, I appreciate the kind words. I think there's an amazing, you know, there's so much, so many nuggets in what you just shared. The, you know, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, they all had coaches, right? We can't see our own blind spot. There's a
Right.
reason it's called blind spot, right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
all have our stuff, right? That
Yes.
hopefully, I I grew up a 5 sport athlete, so I had coaches uh, for a long time, and of course, as a youth, all your basketball stories were taking me back. I went to Al McGuire's basketball camp every
Al
summer
McGuire.
for
Woo!
3 years in a row. And if you see this, this is not a basketball body. But I thought when I was young, I was destined to be a basketball player.
That's
The
awesome.
good news is I played Big Ten football. So
Yes.
again, this was not a basketball body, but my I loved going to Al McGuire's basketball camp because he was so good. They won the
Yes.
national championship in 1977 at Marquette,
That's it.
and I got to watch Allie McGuire at the basketball camps shoot the lights out, and most
Wow.
people probably would never have recognized he was so
Mm.
Pete Maravich like,
Yes. Yes.
very again, just throwing some names from the past, but again, there was some pure talent, but he had a father in Al McGuire that was an
Yes.
absolutely amazing coach. So
100%.
even though Allie, his son, had such amazing shooting talent at the basketball camp, Al McGuire would tell us what Allie was doing wrong. And
Mm.
he would rip off 25 free throws in a row,
Yes.
and Al McGuire would tell us what he did wrong doing
He
it.
was still doing something wrong. That's good.
You know, man,
Yes.
I mean, the way you just set this all up just took me back uh,
Yes.
to being a wrong sized guy at a basketball camp. But I mean, it's so interesting because there was a case of pure talent
Yes.
that still had the ability to get better.
Yes.
Right? You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? And I think
Yes.
that's what you were saying about Larry Bird. I remember those days too. He outworked, out
Yes.
hustled, out
Yes.
effort, you know?
Man.
And that's where again I think, talent is a blessing. Let's
Yes.
it is. It's a God in my world, it's a God-given
Yes.
attribute, right?
Yeah, it is. It really is,
But
Scott.
the reality is if that's all you ever rely on in
Mm.
leadership, I
Yeah.
think you've got to it's not duplicatable because none of us are God. We can't look at a protege and say, okay, now let me make you what God made me.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen,
Yeah.
right? Uh, the reason we have a unique fingerprint, we all have our own path.
That's right.
If you and I saw the exact same incident and then were separated and asked to describe it, we would describe it differently
Completely
based on a
different.
lot of different things, right?
That's right.
So, I mean, I think that's why this topic becomes so important, that be blessed by what your talents are, nurture them extremely well,
Yes.
take the actions toward expanding them, modifying them, enhancing them,
Yes.
and at the same time appreciate that other people have specific talents. I'm sure it's funny. I was listening when you were talking about your drill sergeant.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
I was going to throw in a little. I don't know what I was going to say, but it just, you're talking about a drill sergeant. I'm going like, did he like him? Did he not like him? Did he respect him? Did he learn from him? Did he,
Yes.
you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? But there was a reason the drill sergeant was the drill sergeant.
Yes.
At
That's
one
it,
time,
Scott.
at one
Yeah.
time, he wasn't the drill sergeant, right?
Oh no.
He didn't come into the Marines and automatically be deemed the drill sergeant, right?
No. No. He had.
What is that path like? Because I
Well,
don't know it.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Scott. Like, my in the Marine Corps, we say drill instructor. So I don't want no Marines
Sorry.
to beat me up, but we know what you mean, Scott. Like, just somebody called me in an hour. You and Scott Schilling saying drill sergeant. That's how.
My
Pers-
apologies to the entire Marine base.
No, you're good.
No, I
You're good.
apologize. That is
You're
my
good,
ignorance.
Scott.
No,
You're good.
I admit I was wrong, and I can be corrected. I'm good with that.
Absolutely. So, Scott, it's my drill instructor's name was Michael Hinges. He's from North Carolina, and I would watch this man. I went to boot camp in '98. I would watch this man for those 13 weeks, and I can honestly tell you, Scott, it was like I want to be him. His mannerisms, his body language, the way he moves about, his style, just everything. I just wanted to be like him. And the he was the what we call the uh experienced drill instructor. They call him, EDI today, experienced drill instructor. You have the senior drill instructor who is like the daddy of the platoon. He wears the black belt. He's daddy. He's all things go or don't go. All every buck stops with him. And then underneath him, you have the EDI, experienced drill instructor, which Michael Hinges was that for me. And then you have the third hat, which those are the Tasmanian devils that just, oh my goodness. And then you may have a fourth hat. You may have a fifth hat. A five hat team from the senior all the way to the fifth drill instructor, Armageddon for 3 months. It really is. So, and those are pretty rare. It depends on the timing of the year when drill instructors are graduating out of drill instructor school. Drill instructor school is also 13 weeks, Scott. So back to your point, he didn't just learn just on the fly. You have to go through 13 weeks of excruciating pain all over again. So you go through 13 weeks of boot camp, and say you're in the Marine Corps, good 3-4 years, got some, time under your belt, become a non-commissioned officer, NCO, then you can apply to go, and it's a selection process. Everybody just can't go and be a drill instructor because it's considered, the epitome. So 13 weeks, you relive what it was like going through boot camp, because now you're duplicating all the different things that you experience as a recruit. and that muscle memory of that, though, Scott, is like, wow, man, this sucks. We have to go through every event the recruits go through. And like you said, it's a pool of talent that is considered the best of the best. The best the Marine Corps got to offer, because to make Marines, you have to be the epitome of being a Marine. And a lot of pride that comes with that, Scott. So I'll be honest with you, Michael Hinges, the man was just, he was Michael Jordan in my eyes back then. So fast forward, I sent him an email and told him I wanted to be just like him. The impact you had on me, sir, this, that, and the third. He sent me a one-liner, Scott. He responded back. I remember my heart was pounding when I saw his message in my inbox. I opened it. There's a one-liner, Scott, that said, "Hey, idiot, don't ever email me again until you become an NCO." So at the time, I was an E3. NCO starts at E4. So now I'm just like, oh, wow. Well, I didn't reach back to him. I ended up becoming an NCO. I became an E5, and I put in my package to be considered to be selected to go be a drill instructor. I thank be to God, I got it. I get back down to Paris Island. Now, again, the talent of the experience, the expertise, the emulating, we call it EDIP, explain, demonstrate, imitate, perform. That was on full display when I got there, because the only person I could think about was Michael Hinges. So I'm like, man, I want to do it just like he did it. And I remember reaching out to him, Scott, for the sake of time. I reached out to him and said, hey, I find myself imitating you now that I'm a drill instructor. And it's so profound, because I'll never forget it the rest of my life. He said, take the things that I taught you, implement it into your own schematic of how you do business, stay out of trouble, keep your nose clean. And man, that's probably the best advice that he could have gave me, because I started to hone in my own skill set of it. It could be very mundane, redundant in terms of the things that we do to make Marines, but I learned from the best, Scott. I can honestly tell you that I learned from the best. That talent down there, man, I'm talking just wow. If you and I were to take a trip to Paris Island together, and we just sit down on the bench and eat popcorn and watch those drill instructors down there and how they operate, and again, the mannerisms and how they get the response. Because like you said, Scott, it's about example. This can do a lot, but man, the example is a whole nother ball game. So yeah, it was a 3-year tour. I actually went back to Quantico, Virginia, to do it for officers, which was a great thing as well, but slightly different. It's not as rugged and raw as it is on the island, but it shaped me. It did, Scott. It shaped me in a lot of ways. Yes.
That's why you're a phenomenal coach, Coach T.O. Clay.
I appreciate you, my
let's
brother.
pull this thing together. How do people get a hold of you? Leave them a little wisdom here.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Well, first and foremost, you all, if you see this, just know these discussions are really from the heart. We want, in our most abundant ability, to share and impart whatever we can from our knowledge, our wisdom, our understanding, to where you develop, you become better. Or like Scott said, we all have blind spots, and sometimes it's just a friendly little reminder that could, tweak the mindset. And as the mind goes, the body goes, and you can continue to move forward. I love coaching. I love leadership. So I'm a leadership coach. I've been called everything: a life coach, a military coach, all these different things. But my bottom line is I love coaching leadership. Leadership starts here. And www.lightbulblessons.com. If you go there, that's kind of the nucleus You'll learn more about me, learn more about what it is that uh, I bring to the table, and it's genuine. And the different social media platforms we're out there. Type in T.O. Clay, you'll find me. But I'm just happy to be in the presence of gentlemen like Scott. That's for me. Trust me, to be in the presence of gentlemen like Scott Schilling, it means the world to me because this is what I worked for. Talent can't get you everywhere, but man, when you have the persistence and you're doing it for the right reasons, I'm telling you, you get opportunities to sit with one of the greats, and I've been able to do that today. So thank you, Seafood man, for giving me the opportunity to be here with Scott. I appreciate you, brother. I really do.
Well, thank you. Again, I appreciate the kind words and thanks for being here. Uh, I'm Scott Schilling. I am an executive coach. I'm a sales trainer. I'm an international speaker. I'm a podcaster. And ultimately, I want to share messages of hope and inspiration to help you prosper in whatever it is your desire is. I don't hide well. It's scott@scottschilling.com, scottschilling.com, championsofinspiration.com. So please reach out. Would love to chat. T.O., thanks for being here again. You're awesome, dude.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you so much, man.
And we will see you all next time for Speaking Prowess. God bless.
God bless you all.